Okay, serious question. Would you eat a raw chicken leg right now? No? Good. That little ugh you just felt. You share it with a human who lived 800,000 years ago. Because at some point, one of our ancestors stared at a cold lump of raw meat and thought, this would be so much better on fire. And honestly, absolute genius. That one idea may be the reason your brain is big enough to be watching this right now. So let's find out. When did humans actually start cooking, and how do we even know? First, picture life before cooking. You're an early human. Breakfast is raw, lunch is raw, and dinner is, surprise, also raw. And raw food is a nightmare to eat. A chimpanzee spends up to 6 hours a day just chewing. 6 hours! That's a part-time job made entirely of jaw exercise. Raw meat is chewy, hard to digest, and it gives up its energy slowly, like a stingy vending machine. Your body has to fight for every single calorie. Now add fire. Cooking softens food, kills germs, and unlocks way more energy from every bite. It's like upgrading from dial-up to fiber internet, but for your stomach. In a way, cooking is like having a second stomach outside your body. The fire does the first round of digestion for you, before the food even reaches your mouth. Quick reality check. Even today, people who eat only raw food often struggle to keep weight on, and that's with blenders and fridges. Our ancestors had none of that. So the real question isn't why humans started cooking, it's when. And to answer that, scientists had to become detectives, because fire does not leave a receipt. Here's the problem. A campfire from last week is easy to spot, but a campfire from 800,000 years ago? That's mostly gone. Rain, wind, and time erase it. So our best hard evidence for the earliest cooking comes from a site in Israel called Gesher Benot Yaakov. Try saying that 3 times fast. There, scientists found something strange. Piles of fish teeth, but almost no fish bones. Weird, right? Where did all the bones go? Here's the twist. When you cook a fish gently, the soft bones basically fall apart, but the hard teeth survive. So a pile of lonely teeth is a fishy fingerprint of cooking. But they went further. They X-rayed the enamel in those teeth. When a tooth is heated, its crystal structure changes in a measurable way, like a tiny thermometer frozen in time. The verdict? Those fish were heated to a gentle temperature, under 500 degrees Celsius. Not burned. Not accidentally on fire. Cooked. On purpose. Low and slow. That makes it the oldest solid proof of cooking we have ever found. 780,000 years old. Humanity's very first barbecue was fish. Take that, hot dogs. But wait, cooking needs fire. And fire, it turns out, is way older than that fishy dinner. Much, much older. Travel to South Africa, to a place called Wonderwork Cave. Deep inside, scientists found burned bone and ash from plants, signs of fire from about 1,000,000 years ago. 1,000,000 years. And here's the key detail. This fire was deep inside a cave. Lightning does not strike deep inside caves. Somebody carried that fire in. Picture that. An ancient human, gently cupping a burning branch, walking it into the dark. The world's first person to think, I should bring this home. And newer research pushes the fire at that cave back even further, possibly over 1.5 million years ago. But there is a catch. Using fire and making fire are 2 very different skills. Early humans probably grabbed fire from wildfires and kept it alive, like a precious, crackling pet, and losing that fire would be a disaster. Imagine explaining to your whole hungry family that you let the fire go out. That is the original, you had one job. But how did cooking even begin? Nobody woke up one morning and invented the grill. The best guess? It started as a delicious accident. Picture a wildfire sweeping across ancient grassland. Terrifying, yes. But afterward, the ground is littered with roasted animals and toasted seeds, already cooked. One brave, hungry ancestor takes a bite of the cooked leftovers, and it is incredible. Warm, soft, and tasty. A light bulb flickers on, before light bulbs even exist. From there, it's a slow-motion revolution. Grab fire from the wild, keep it alive, then start tossing food in on purpose. That's cooking, invented one lucky bite at a time. Now here's where it gets wild. One Harvard scientist, Richard Wrangham, thinks cooking is even older and that it literally made us human. His idea is called the cooking hypothesis, and it reaches back almost 2 million years, to an ancestor named Homo erectus. Around that time, something dramatic happened to our ancestors. Their brains ballooned, their guts shrank, their teeth got smaller. Evolution hit the gym and the barber on the same day. Wrangham's argument is simple. Brains are hungry. Your brain is about 2% of your weight, but it burns around a fifth of your energy. It is a diva. You can't grow a giant, energy-hungry brain on raw leaves and chewy meat alone. But cooked food? That delivers the extra fuel and cuts the chewing time way down. So in this theory, cooking didn't just feed our ancestors. It powered the brain that eventually invented language, art, spaceships, and, of course, YouTube. It's a beautiful, mind-blowing idea. There's just one tiny problem. Almost no other scientists are fully convinced. Because remember the receipt problem? If cooking really started almost 2 million years ago, where is the fire evidence? So far, we just haven't found solid proof that old. The oldest cooking we can actually prove is still that fish dinner, around 800,000 years ago. Wrangham says the evidence burned away. Critics say, no receipt, no barbecue. So the honest answer is, we are not 100% sure. And that's okay. Science is allowed to say, we don't know yet. That's how it stays honest. But here's what we do know. There is a big difference between the first time someone cooked and the time cooking became normal, everyday life. And by about 400,000 years ago, fire was everywhere. Hearths show up all over the ancient world. Humans finally had reliable, on-demand fire. That's the moment fire stopped being a lucky gift and became a tool. Cooking went from rare miracle to daily routine. The world's very first kitchen. And it wasn't only our species. The Neanderthals, our tough, cold-weather cousins, were absolutely cooking too. In their caves we find hearths, roasted plants, even the burnt remains of ancient meals. Some sites hint they seasoned food with bitter herbs. Prehistoric fine dining. So these weren't dumb brutes grunting over cold meat. They were cooks. They gathered around fires, sharing warm food, telling stories we will never get to hear. And that might be cooking's most underrated power. It didn't just feed bodies, it pulled people together. Think about it. A fire is warm, it's safe. It's the one spot where everyone gathers after a long, terrifying day of not being eaten by a lion. Around that fire, people talked. They planned. They bonded. The campfire may be the original social network, just with more sparks and fewer ads. So let's put the whole story together, from what we can prove to what we only suspect. Maybe 2 million years ago, our ancestors' bodies started changing in ways that hint at cooking. Bigger brains, smaller guts, the suspicious clues. Around 1 million years ago, we get real fire, carried deep into Wonderwork Cave. The first hard proof our ancestors could handle a flame. About 800,000 years ago, the smoking gun. Well, the smoking fish. Actual cooked food that we can measure and prove. And by 400,000 years ago, cooking is everywhere. It's not a clever trick anymore. It's just dinner. From that point on, there is no going back. Cooking becomes part of what it means to be human, as basic as walking or talking. Every kitchen today, every oven, every stove, every questionable microwave burrito traces back to that first ancestor who tamed fire. So the next time you cook dinner, take a second to appreciate it. You are performing a magic trick that is hundreds of thousands of years in the making. A tiny caveman genius looked at fire and saw dinner. And that one idea changed absolutely everything. So, would you eat that raw chicken leg now? Yeah, me neither. Thank the caveman. If your brain, the one cooking helped build, enjoyed this, hit subscribe. This is Truth Explorer, where the truth is always weirder than they taught you. See you next time.